All right, so, with our first draft, as we get into our first draft, I'm going to talk a little bit about what are the commonly played heroes for these teams. According to Heroes Profile, most common picks for the Baddest Dudes is Leoric, Greymane, as well as Garrosh. They've got quite a few picks on those. A lot of data for them since, although they've only played 3 series, they've played a total of 9 games because of the fact that all of their series went to a final game. So it will be the focus on the Garrosh. I do kind of like that as a ban, since it is the most played tank for the Baddest Dudes, and it's also a tank that, just by its very nature, it's a very threatening tank compared to a lot of the others. The pick potential of Garrosh is very, very dangerous, and we're going to see a Tracer ban by the Baddest Dudes. And that is an interesting one. Tracer, obviously someone who was recently reworked, and I'm actually not sure. Like, I'm trying to find out, do WeThePepegas actually play that? And it doesn't actually look like they even have a single... These are some interesting bans, although I do think... oh, yeah, so it does turn out that Baddest Dudes actually do have quite a few picks on Butcher. They have picked Butcher 3 times. So I could see that. And Garrosh and Butcher, although one of them is considered a good hero and very viable, and the other one isn't, they are both very, very lethal if played correctly. They're definitely ones that, if they're played correctly, heroes will be deleted. Meanwhile, it will be the ETC ban on the other side by the Baddest Dudes. So we do have a little bit of a tank choke going on. Luciamite will be picking up the Greymane. I do know that that is a preferred hero for actually both of these teams. So that means Luciamite. I think it's a good first pick in the sense that they get a hero that they're strong at or that they prefer. And it's also something that is denied to the Baddest Dudes because right now, Greymane actually is the most commonly picked assassin for the Baddest Dudes. So instead of picking up the Greymane, they will pick up the Raynor, and Raynor is something that, according to the data that I have available, they actually have not played yet this season. But, I don't know. I feel like if you can play Greymane, you can probably play Raynor too. He's more of just like a safer, less risky Raynor. Clearly, that's oversimplifying things a little bit, but again, just still, I feel like if you can play Greymane, you can probably play Raynor. Battle Hill will pick up the Johanna, and Jaina will be picked up by Chelsea. Jaina is the most commonly played assassin for WeThePepegas, so I think they're doing a good job on their draft so far, picking up heroes that they want. Although the most played tank for WeThePepegas is actually the ETC. Of course, that is banned out, and at least currently, based on the data that I have, Johanna is the next most played tank. Zul ban will be coming out. At this point, it's really just a meta ban, and there isn't a whole lot more to say about that. In fact, I don't even see any picks on Zul from Baddest Dudes for this season so far, so it's strictly a meta ban. Orphea, however, has only been played once by Baddest Dudes, but Orphea is also something that, according to what I've heard, based on the recent changes to Orphea, she's actually just really strong, so I don't think that's a bad choice to ban out. The Rhaegar will be picked up by a Freya alongside the Rexar, so I do know that Rhaegar is definitely a commonly played hero for a Freya. And oh my god, the Kel'Thuzad last pick. That is pretty crazy. This will not be the first time today that I've seen a Kel'Thuzad last pick in draft. How many times have they played Kel'Thuzad? They haven't played Kel'Thuzad at all this season, so that's a pick that they've had in their pocket up until now, and they finally brought it out against a team. And again, I've saw some use of the Kel'Thuzad today. So between these two drafts, it's kind of difficult to say who I would favor in these two drafts. In most cases, I actually feel that these drafts are pretty even. Pretty even. On the one side, I would actually say WeThePepegas have a slightly better end of things because of the fact that I think they have better wave clear in the 4-man, which I think is particularly important on Tomb of the Spider Queen. But then you have the Kel'Thuzad on the side of Baddest Dudes, which is something that's hard to just evaluate and say, like, yeah, I think this is better than that. The Kel'Thuzad pick is a very chaotic one. One that, I mean, it really just throws some chaos into things where it's hard for me to just say, oh, yeah, I think the team with Kel'Thuzad is the better draft. It's almost like a coin flip at this point, and it's probably not as simple as that, but it's very feast or famine, which I've already said many times at this point. If Kel'Thuzad gets stacks, He's one of the few heroes who can actually really solo carry and just get a lot of kills himself. And of course, if he doesn't get stacks, if he's denied stacks, or if there's enough dive to really just focus him down very quickly in each fight, he can also really be dead weight. So that's really what much of this draft and much of this game hinges on, I think. But let's move on over into our game. So game number one. Game number one on Tomb of the Spider Queen, we are going to have the Baddest Dudes on the blue team. To the left, it's going to be Night Raven on the Leoric. A Giant Dwarf will be playing as Mal'Ganis. Mad Kaiser on the Malfurion. Demon Grand on the Kel'Thuzad that could make or break this game. Savior123, who actually was on the team the last time I played them, will be on the Rainer. Meanwhile, WeThePepegas. Battle Hill will be on the Johanna. Afreya on the Rhaegar. Luchamite on Greymane, Chelsea on Jaina, and finally, it's going to be Durlock on the Rexxar. These names, for some reason, coming a little bit slow to me at this time. Now, what I'd personally like to see out of WeThePepegas is that they don't really volunteer into the mid-fight too much. Ideally, against the Kel'Thuzad, you want to slow down the stacking process as much as possible. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if that's quite happening. Okay, they only give up one stack in that fight. I gotta say, I really don't like Rexxar coming over there to join that fight. I think Rexxar, if anything, is something that can really feed into the Kel'Thuzad stack. So I really want Durlock to, I don't know, kind of mind his own business, so to speak, in this bottom lane and staying away from Kel'Thuzad as much as possible. Maybe if his micro on, the Misha is really good. Oh, man, talking about that. Although he's doing quite well against Night Raven in this lane at the moment. But if his micro on his Misha is really good, he might be able to keep it away from the Kel'Thuzad to deny as many stacks as possible. This 4-man, though, as I said, it should be a very, very clear wave clear advantage for WeThePepegas between the Johanna, the Greymane, as well as the Jaina. Jaina does get slept, though. There will be a root right under her and a Kel'Thuzad combo to follow it up. That could be the first kill on Chelsea. 71 hit points, and eventually she does go down. That was a pretty nice setup. I forget the order, but I think it was the Mal'Ganis Sleet, the root right underneath from Mad Kaiser, and then that makes things a lot easier for Demon Grand. Battle Hill, unfortunately, does get hit by the chain, so another stack given over to the Kel'Thuzad. 8 stacks in 2 minutes is, I think that's a decent pace. And I think the tough thing about that Kel'Thuzad is, I think the Kel'Thuzad also works on this map in that kind of the nature of the map, you're not having those objective phases the way you do on, say, Cursed Hollow or Towers of Doom, where there are specific times in the map where if you don't have stacks for Kel'Thuzad, you can't realistically take the objective. You should not realistically without a serious misplay by your opponents. But I think the way this map works, where, it's turn-in oriented, if you just continue on with the 4-man rotation, I think that really facilitates Kel'Thuzad stacking. Demon Grand having a little trouble getting the double chains. So far, it's mostly just been single chains to propel his stacking forward, but still at 10, he's doing okay. Giant Dwarf trying to get out of there. But it's also going to be really difficult for the members of Baddest Dudes to deal with something like this, because their wave clear really isn't great, and they've gone with an ace in the hole Rainer. I would almost say that this might be a better game for Exterminator, because otherwise their wave clear in the 4-man is quite lacking. When your best wave clear on your team, or at least in your 4-man, is an ace in the hole Rainer, that's a compositional problem. Okay, we're going to see a sleep initiation from Giant Dwarf. Gets it onto both of them. Afreya does get chained. Afreya's trying to get out of there with the Wolf Run, but gets stunned again by Giant Dwarf. And Afreya, can she make it out alive? No, she cannot. With only 20 health left, that could have even been a basic attack just from Malfurion. Meanwhile, we're going to see Night Raven in this bottom lane. It seems like whenever I see Night Raven in this bottom lane, he's so low against Durlock. Probably doesn't help that we do see that the mercenary camp was taken, so Durlock is able to push alongside the siege camp here. All right, but it's going to be level 7 talent tier advantage for the members of WeThePepegas. Turn-in is available for both teams. Which team can get it first? Realistically, I would think that WeThePepegas, until Kel'Thuzad does get all of his stacks, WeThePepegas should have the better opportunities to turn in, although it is a little bit problematic that the bulk of those gems will be on Battle Hill. as Johanna. Normally, it's not really ideal to have most of your gems on your tank, because, of course, normally your tank is someone who you want to be able to zone out as the rest of your team turns in. But there, Battle Hill was actually able to turn in uncontested, which I think is actually the best-case scenario for them. However, they know that Iron Skin will no longer be active for very long. Roots will be put down, but they don't catch anyone from WeThePepegas right there. Durlock once again in this lane, and it's a level lead for WeThePepegas as well. Slight level lead, about a half a level lead. Kel'Thuzad more than halfway through with his stacking, however. Giant Dwarf, however, is going for the turn-in that could result in a successful turn-in, and indeed... No, just kidding. I apparently just potatoed with my math. We had some real caster math here. Didn't say it out loud, but I thought for some reason that was going to be the turn-in that would actually bring the Web Weavers for the Baddest Dudes. And instead, it will be WeThePepegas getting the first turn-in. All right, so let's see what they make of this turn-in, what lanes they go in. Oh, no, that's an unfortunate sleep. Or rather, yeah, it's unfortunate for WeThePepegas. Will it result in a kill? And indeed, it does result in a kill. So actually, what's really nice about the way Baddest Dudes are playing things is that they are coordinating with their team so that the Kel'Thuzad is actually helping to set up kills even without being fully stacked. And that's going to be problematic for WeThePepegas because eventually Kel'Thuzad will get stacked. I will say the stacking probably a little bit on the slow side, but it will happen eventually. 22 stacks, so this will be a Web Weaver phase that will go by without... Oh, and let's see if they can get a kill on Demon Grand here. Oh, no. If Luchamite was just a little bit closer, unfortunately, with only a Freya... Oh, man. Rexar will be killed. With only a Freya and Battle Hill there wasn't really a real opportunity to secure the kill on Kel'Thuzad. If Luchamite had been just a little bit closer, following along with that rotation, they actually definitely would have gotten a kill on Kel'Thuzad there. Instead, they kind of gave Kel'Thuzad a few more stacks. Chelsea will be caught in the Roots from Mad Kaiser, but in that case, we don't have much of a combo. Roots kind of just thrown out raw without anything else to follow it up. So, the Web Weavers will be cleared. We did see front walls taken in all lanes, as well as almost half of a fort taken in the bottom lane. Meanwhile, we are going to see Night Raven helping Demon Grand, or perhaps the other way around, to get this camp. Just pick it up really quickly. Maybe not. Somewhat quickly. Oh, and of course, it is nice that they managed to start the camp before the Web Weavers came out. So this is now a blue Web Weaver push out of the Baddest Dudes. So far, this game looking pretty even. And if anything, although WeThePepegas did get the first turn-in, I'm a little concerned that all the kills are in favor of the Baddest Dudes. And that's still all pre-Kel'Thuzad stacking. They haven't gotten any kills themselves, despite having what should be a better team fighting composition in the early game. And instead, it is going to be yet another kill going in favor of the Baddest Dudes. So I think this is a nice push for them. They are pushing as 4 here. They threw out the Hyperion, which has actually already expired. But Night Raven, with that Leoric wave clear, is able to join the team. All right, does look like there will be a rotation to top lane. They'll get the top wall here as well. But can they get more? Because if they don't get more, then it doesn't seem like they actually got much more than what WeThePepegas got out of their first Web Weaver push. And this is a second Web Weaver, so it should theoretically be a little bit better. Bloodlust has been activated, though, and it does look like they'll pick up their first kill. It will be onto Kel'Thuzad. In the process, though, Kel'Thuzad does complete his stacks, but another kill will happen. Meanwhile, Durlock does need to be a little bit careful here. Giant Dwarf, on the other hand, is hoarding a lot of those gems. And I kind of talked before about how it's not exactly ideal to have most of your gems on your tank, because you want your tank to be able to zone as the rest of your team turns in. In practice, though, tanks will often pick up gems because they are able to be in more risky positions. There will also be a lot of times in fights where obviously squishy targets will be prioritized, and the tank will stay alive, and the tank will rush to pick up the gems that were left by the squishy targets. Oh, Battle Hill, he doesn't... Oh no! I'm really surprised that Battle Hill did not get that interrupt on Giant Dwarf. My best guess for why he did not get the interrupt was that maybe he used Shield Glare on the wave to clear the wave, and then he literally didn't have Shield Glare to interrupt Giant Dwarf. That's my best guess. I could be wrong, but otherwise I really can't think of a good reason why there wasn't an immediate shield glare on Giant Dwarf to interrupt that turn-in. And that was the second time when we saw... Oh, let's see. We do have Demon Grand who has left the game, and that will be a pause out of Savior 1, 2, 3. So yeah, the second time when a tank has basically been allowed to turn in uncontested, just kind of snuck it in there. Realistically, I don't think that's really the thing that should happen. So our disconnect is on our Kel'Thuzad player, and as I do, just want to take a look at what's going on in the chat. I particularly appreciate, although I didn't comment on it before, the compliment out of Professor Bobo. All right, does look like Savior is back into this game, so I will transition back on over to our game. We haven't quite had the unpause just yet, but I just want to make sure that we are ready to move. All right, then. I was just trying to take a look at some things in the chat. It might have been possible that I had the wrong overlay, but we're going to take a look at what's going on here. We are going to have Bloodlust activated. Blessed Shield will also go out. So Night Raven was in trouble, but instead the kills are actually going to come out for Baddest Dudes, proven to be really strong in this game. They did get a sleep onto Luchemite, but there was no follow-up aside from that. Perhaps the root was already used on... Perhaps the root was already used on someone else with the initial kills that came in. So Baddest Dudes doing quite well in this game at the moment. Actually, I mean, certainly at the moment, they are playing better. I actually was going to say looking like the stronger team. That might be a little bit premature. I think we'll have to wait until the rest of the series has gone on. But certainly right now, for the moment, they are playing like the stronger team. So turn-in is available for WeThePepegas, but certainly plenty of opportunity that they can turn things around. Durlock will get hit by the chains there, but not much actually comes out of that. Baddest Dudes will be moving into the bottom lane, however, looking to secure the siege camp. But in turn, I think that means they probably end up giving up the turn-in and just end up letting WeThePepegas turn in. I'm not quite sure if that's worth it. So many members of Baddest Dudes committed to the bottom basically meant it was a free turn-in for WeThePepegas. They're already positioning to try to get as much value and damage on this fort before the Web Weavers didn't come in. There was a rotation by Baddest Dudes, but it was anticipated by WeThePepegas. Luchemite's still potentially in trouble. He does manage to dodge the root out of Kel'Thuzad, so he will be just fine. So with that rotation, especially with that rotation... Oh, I was going to say no. It wasn't a rotation of 5. It was only a rotation of 4. Does look like at this time they will choose to abandon the top lane. Obviously, ideally, they wanted to push top lane because of the fact that top lane is just the most valuable lane on this map. Afreya now potentially under threat. Kel'Thuzad combo is already out, though, but a root will be placed under Afreya, but it does look like Afreya eventually will be fine. And as our chat has pointed out, yeah, I mean it's a triple fort play. So that is, they got a camp, but in turn they gave up 3 forts. Oh no, Afreya is caught. I think this will be the end for Afreya, and indeed she will go down. So despite the kill advantage, I mean, if we're going by structures, then WeThePepegas is actually winning. Oh no, Luchemite potentially in a bad position. He will go through, but it does look like the engage potential out of Baddest Dudes isn't too strong. Certainly not in terms of distance or speed. That Mal'Ganis does have a lot of setup where he can potentially sleep multiple members of the opposing team. But he doesn't have the speed of engage the way something like a Diablo or an Anubarak would. Going in, seeing if he can chain Misha to Rexar, which is actually very interesting, the fact that you can chain Misha to Rexar. Just another way to set up that kill. And it's going to be Savior here, literally dueling with Battle Hill. Chelsea seeing if they can get a kill. They will definitely finish off the fort, so I guess technically the Web Weaver turn-in didn't result in a triple fort play since one was left up, but only with like 10% of its health. Meanwhile, I can see we're converging here. Oh no, Afreya is caught out, but Luchimite will try to trade out the kill. Might not even be a trade. Okay, it is a trade. Luchimite, seeing that Afreya is in trouble, tries to make sure the trade is killed, or the kill is traded out, but Luchimite himself now in a lot of trouble. But I think he will get out of there. Has to keep in mind that the healer is down, so, and Greymane with no self-sustain can't exactly just stay in there once his health does go down. So Web Weaver turn-in does happen for the Baddest Dudes. Blue Web Weaver turn-in. Bottom fort should be taken without much issue. Just kidding. Bottom fort will not be taken because WeThePepegas will clear it out. So bottom fort will stay up. So at this point, the play is keep front wall. I don't think they get the keep unless they manage to secure a few kills with Kel'Thuzad, as we still see the rest of WeThePepegas rotating here. And it does look like Baddest Dudes not choosing to be too aggressive with that. I think that was a very smart play. They knew realistically what they could get, which was the keep front wall. And it looks like they're going to try to look at the rotations and see if they can also pick up the fort. Problem with this, I actually don't like this, because this means that they could give up another turn-in. All the way down here on the bottom, committing 5 to the bottom means that this should be a free turn-in for WeThePepegas, except a lot of the members of WeThePepegas do have to rotate around. Even a boss play was a possibility, but also probably a very risky one, since that would take quite a bit more time than a turn-in. Potential throw pit. So yeah, that's a free turn-in for WeThePepegas, and I think it's a very unnecessary one. Was it worth it to get another siege camp as well as a fort to give your opponent a free turn-in? Part of what that could result in is, I mean, and we see the positioning of WeThePepegas right now. Ideally, if they're managing to push this aggressively, they can arguably make a play for the whole keep, because they can start putting a lot of damage on the keep front wall right now before the Web Weaver actually gets pushed, before the Web Weaver actually comes. The question, though, oh no, Afreya does go in a little too aggressively, and Afreya will go down. Oh no, that's really unfortunate. So they will get the keep front wall out of this Web Weaver push, but I think there was a reasonable expectation that they could have actually gotten the keep there if they had gotten the keep front wall. Problem is, I think Afreya just got a little too eager for that possibility of getting the whole keep and pushed that far in. Oh no, Greymane is going to be silenced. And Baddest Dudes right now are really punishing the aggressive positioning by WeThePepegas. Now, I do feel that they had an opportunity to get this keep. But what's happening is they're not quite respecting the Kel'Thuzad. They need to respect that although they could have gotten the keep, they need to respect the fact that they can get killed on the defense from Baddest Dudes with something like that Kel'Thuzad. And then in the case of Greymane, he was actually trapped out by the Entomb. So now they've let the game go to level 20, and we've got Leoric with Entomb. Now, in many ways, this game is very even. Obviously, it's level 20 for both teams. They've all got 3 structures up. But at the moment, I am favoring the Baddest Dudes to close this game out. They've had more kills. The game has gone to the late game. Kel'Thuzad has been allowed to stack, so I think that now they do have the better team fight. And with Kel'Thuzad having all that extra spell power, arguably they have the better wave clear as well, or at least good enough. And if it does come down to a fight on the boss, I think the Baddest Dudes are in a better position for that too, again, just with the Kel'Thuzad. So if anything, now, okay, Baddest Dudes are split. This is the time where I would want to see... Oh, man, a turn-in goes in. I was going to say, this is the time. Actually, you know what? It's still the time. They're going to back off and try to... No, it's not, actually. They've grouped up as 5. But I wanted to see, once we saw Baddest Dudes split up, members of WeThePepegas find a target to just engage on. As it is, this is not looking good for them. The waves... Middle lane is pushed in far enough, but we will see the immediate defense out of Durlock and Battle Hill. Otherwise, the bottom lane and the top lane aren't too far pushed in. But, you know, with what we've seen, the more kills coming out for Baddest Dudes, just the strength of this Kel'Thuzad right now. Night Raven was looking for... An Entomb goes out, but the Bloodlust goes out as well. Freya is really low. In fact, most of the members... Oh, no! WeThePepegas did get the first kill, but in the end, it's a 3-for-1 trade. They got the first kill. They tried to engage aggressively to pick up the Kel'Thuzad, or perhaps the Malfurion, because it was the Malfurion who they actually killed. I think it was. And with that, it does look like Baddest Dudes will be going for just the core. And I think they really are able to just finish this core off. Their siege damage isn't fantastic, but I think it should be good enough. Actually, I mean, I think Demon Grand needs to start putting Death and Decay on the core. If anything, I'm surprised. Wow, they're gonna back out. 100% they had opportunity for core there, like 100%. Those were like 40-second respawn timers. They're gonna decide that the boss is the safer play. And, I mean, they can get the boss. They should get the boss for free. Giant Dwarf does get stunned, however, by the boss. That's a little bit of a problem. Night Raven is actually getting super low. Oh, they didn't have their healer here, so they need to be really careful. Oh, no! This is a huge throw. They don't even need to get the boss. They just need to get the kills. Entomb hits like 3, but it might not matter. Luchemite is going crazy. The Bloodlust Greymane, along with Go for the Throat. Oh my god, oh my god! Now this is also that Pepega moment. Do they defend the boss? Because does a boss at 20 minutes win the game, or do they go over and try to finish the core? It does look like they're choosing to defend the boss, worrying that it could result in a kill. But that was actually... Oh my god. I mean, actually, if they had stolen that boss, it would have been the game in favor of WeThePepegas. Okay, so they do clear out the boss. The boss, yeah, I think they had to respect the boss because the boss did take an additional 6% permanent core damage, and that's considering they pretty much started defending it immediately. So, this is the point of the game where it's like kind of what's left. Tomb of the Spider Queen can be a very indecisive map. It's one of the reasons why, honestly, for me, it's not my favorite. But we do have a turn-in, at least, for WeThePepegas. Durlock also looking like he wants to get a mercenary camp to push as well, to just put a lot of lane pressure. Okay, that will be the turn-in. And we're still at a point in this game where this could go either way. I mean, we could see it could just be a push that ends up resulting in the game in favor of WeThePepegas, but at the moment they're prioritizing the bottom lane. They're doing that because they have the siege camp here, but this is also the most strongly defended lane. There is still a keep front wall here. Night Raven is scouting things out. Does not actually manage to... Night Raven gets killed. He did not get off the Wraithwalk before he got stunned. We're going to see another kill picked up, I think, on Savior. Yes, indeed, that will happen. Luchemite is getting really low, though, so we're going to need some health, some healing to come back out on him, but that is exactly what they needed. Now, the Kel'Thuzad is still alive, however, so there still is the potential that they can turn this around, but not anymore. That will be the kill on Kel'Thuzad. Oh, Kel'Thuzad does come back alive, though. He does have the phylactery of Kel'Thuzad, does choose to buy back. Ooh, this is now actually pretty questionable. Battle Hill and Durlock are pretty low. Luchemite also under some threat. So we don't have great sustained heals out of Rhaegar. Luchemite's going to go down! Could this be the defense? Could this be yet another throw? Giant Dwarf is trying to get sleeps all over the place. We might see a kill onto Durlock. Durlock actually does activate Feign Death. It's actually getting super close here. This is Super Pepega. And indeed, it will be the Pepegas winning game 1. With that crazy last fight, going up 1-0 in this series. I don't know. I think those of you in chat, I think you guys got to be a little bit cautious about when you call GGs. Some of those might be a little premature, as we've seen. And in the end, we did have more kills coming out of the Baddest Dudes, and I think that's going to be actually kind of troublesome because they lost the game anyway. They lost the game where they had more kills, meaning that in general, they were winning more of the fights. Let's actually get a go in our draft. Obviously, as we can see, WeThePepegas leading 1-0. Now, again, if I'm WeThePepegas, I really, really do want to see the ban on Kel'Thuzad. I don't care that they even won that game. I want to see the ban on Kel'Thuzad. It was shown in many ways. Despite the fact that they won the game, I do feel that the Kel'Thuzad was effective and that it worked against them. And I think they just won for other reasons that had nothing to do with the Kel'Thuzad pick. I also feel that this is a map that penalizes you less for going Kel'Thuzad because it's not as much of a wave clear centric map as Tomb of the Spider Queen. So, 10 seconds. Let's see. Technically 11. Now it's 10. Let's see if they will indeed use that pick on Kel'Thuzad. I honestly really, really want it to be. Okay, they will ban it out. I think that's a good call. Otherwise, you run the risk of letting them get it again. Yeah, and again, even though they didn't win, just from my observations of the game, the Kel'Thuzad worked, and Baddest dudes lost for other reasons. Garrosh will be taken off the field as well. Out of play, that is. So will the Zul, just a meta ban at the moment, whereas the Garrosh ban is a targeted ban against Baddest dudes, since that is their favorite tank. They will not have the opportunity to play it tonight. And the Malthael will be banned as well. Okay, so Durlock is the player, is the solo lane player on the side of WeThePepegas. So the Malthael ban is a curious one. That is one that Durlock has not played at all this season. And we're going to see the Greymane picked up yet again by Luchimite. I'm really glad to see that. Obviously not something that was a high enough priority to make it into the ban phase, and it's something that I felt that Luchimite played really, really well. I think he was a lot of the reason why they were able to come back into that game. Of course, it's easy to put credit on the DPS players who do actually get the kills. We're going to see a Tracer pickup by Demon Grand as well as the Leoric pickup. Now, the Leoric, I think it's hard to go wrong with Leoric. The Tracer pickup, unfortunately, I'm really, really worried about that Tracer pickup. Tracer is a hero that, I mean, obviously she was just reworked. I'm not quite sure where she stands after her recent rework, if it really is indeed a really good hero again like she used to be. But here's why I don't like the Tracer pick. They're picking a Tracer into the Greymane, and I do feel like Greymane is actually one of the best counters to Tracer. She is an auto-attack hero. It's not hard for Greymane to do damage to Tracer, and in many cases, especially if Tracer doesn't have a pulse bomb, Greymane should really be able to hit harder to outtrade Tracer. He should be able to hit harder than her. Aside from hitting with ranged attacks, Greymane can obviously Dark Flight in. We saw that Luchimite likes to play Go for the Throat, which I also think is better with a Bloodlust Rhaegar anyway. So I think that's also really good against a Tracer. We do see people throwing in chat that they feel that the new Tracer is really good, but I don't really like the Tracer into the Greymane. And that's also surprising to see the Raynor, and I think the Raynor is also more of an emphasis on trying to ban out a hero that could potentially, again, outtrade the Tracer. But it does strike me as strange to see the Raynor banned when we already have the Greymane picked up by Luchimite. It wouldn't really fit. Meanwhile, Mal'Ganis will be picked up again by Giant Dwarf, and it will be the Jaina pickup this time. Man, I don't even remember who played. I forget who it was who played Kel'Thuzad in the last game, so just trying to think. Guess I didn't pay enough attention to the names. Meanwhile, Greymane, or rather, it's going to be Deathwing banned out. Deathwing banned out, so that will just not take place in this game. Final pickups. Ooh, wow. Triple melee. So really, actually a really, really aggressive draft out of WeThePepegas. That's really, I feel like, fully building in to the Bloodlust. It's undoubtedly going to be a Bloodlust, especially with that Thrall. I do definitely think there are some limitations to the comp out of WeThePepegas. It's lacking really hard-hitting spell damage, so it's heavily focused on attack damage.
Grant us strength.
And it's pretty much like all in. It's pretty much all in on the Bloodlust. Okay. So we are going to be moving into our second game. Between these two drafts, although I personally criticize the Tracer, obviously we have some disagreements in the chat. Some people feeling that with the recent changes, Tracer now having self-sustain, that she's just a lot better now. I actually personally do favor the draft out of Baddest Dudes. I think it is the more stable and well-rounded draft. Clearly, the draft out of WeThePepegas is honestly not designed to be well-rounded. It's actually designed to really go all in on the Bloodlust. I think it starts actually with the Rexar initiation to get the slow, and then it's just followed up with everyone else rushing in. Bloodlust is activated. Thrall, I'm actually wondering what heroic he should get, because probably the Sundering, because I feel that Earthquake would be a little bit redundant with the Boars. All right, then, but we are about to move into game number 2 in our series, so let's make sure we get the right overlay this time, and we are going to take a look. Now, it is the Baddest Dudes. They are down 1 game in this series. We are going to have Giant Dwarf on the Mal'Ganis yet again. Demon Grand going to attempt some more solo carry play on that Tracer. Night Raven will be playing as the Leoric. Silver Wasp on the Jaina, and Mad Kaiser on the Malfurion. On the other side, it's going to be Battle Hill playing as Johanna, Chelsea on Thrall, Luchamite on Greymane, Afreya will be playing as the Rhaegar, and Durlock will be playing as Rexar. So I personally, made a mistake there. I personally do, oh man, we got the double raid coming in. Thank you both Lazy Hydra and Murda raiding in as we get into game number 2 between Baddest Dudes and WeThePepegas. Some more things that I prefer out of the draft, out of Baddest Dudes. Whether I'm right about my feelings of Tracer or whether Jamster is, I think Demon Grand can play this well enough, even if Greymane could potentially threaten Tracer. I think he can keep good enough of positioning to maybe even just get a lot of Pulse Bomb charge on even just the tanks. He does have a lot of healing throughput coming in from Malfurion, and Malfurion is also very much a desired support. Very much a desired support when you have a Tracer, since he can heal her even from long distance. Just put the regrowth on pretty early, and then she can actually go in pretty deep as Malfurion just gets the Moonfires on tanks and frontliners, and there are going to be plenty of targets for Malfurion to hit with Moonfires, so it shouldn't be too hard for Malfurion to get enough heals for the Tracer. But in any case, we are going to see Sapper Camps picked up by both these players. Giant Dwarf is suddenly in a huge amount of trouble. Luchamite even abandoning the camp temporarily to see if he can support with that potential kill opportunity on Giant Dwarf. It was pretty scary for Giant Dwarf at the moment. So I gotta say, as we have the comments coming in, I really, really appreciate the compliments. Of course, I will just let you guys know a little something, which is that I actually do have a lot of prior casting experience. I do have some prior casting experience. I have a YouTube channel where I did a lot of casting for an entirely different game called Dawn of War 2. So casting has been a hobby of mine for on and off for about 7 years now. Still pretty new to casting Heroes of the Storm, but definitely bring a lot of other experience, as well as some experience from my personal life that has nothing to do with video games, like taking public speaking classes, taking improvisational comedy classes, as well as my career as a teacher, which involves me speaking in front of people very regularly. So just to provide a little bit of insight into that. And again, just appreciate all your comments as we now take a look and return back to this game. We do have a sleep onto Thrall. We are going to see the kill attempt, but there will be the condemn to slow things down. Demon Grand will be chasing after him. Can he finish off the kill? But a lot of the self-sustain is coming in from Thrall. No Pulse Bomb. Do we even see a rewind? Oh no, rewind not into a good spot. Demon Grand is gone. Pulse Bomb will be thrown out. All right, then. Battle Hill looking for another condemn engage. Chelsea, though, is really low. I don't know. I think Chelsea needs a tap. All right, just going to be some heals coming in from Afreya, but also really low on mana as well. Man, I mean, just look at the chunk of mana taken out just by using the Feral Spirit. Giant Dwarf. I don't know about Giant Dwarf here. He needs some support from his healer. I don't think he even has a regrowth on him at the moment. I don't think they're in a position to take this, but they're going to continue to contest it. That might be the kill onto Giant Dwarf, but now Demon Grand is trying to focus on Afreya. Demon Grand does need to get out of there, though. And it's going to be just straight up a 5v5 team fight on one of these first altars. Johanna's in trouble, though. I don't think he has Iron Skin. Battle Hill trying to get out, but yeah. No Iron Skin. If he's that low and has that little mana, chances are Iron Skin was already used somewhere in there. So that, nevertheless, yeah, that will be another altar in favor of the Baddest Dudes. As we do see, Sapper Camp is back up for the Baddest Dudes, so they'll be getting that probably pretty quickly. Of course, it will also be up for WeThePepegas since they recently got theirs as well. And it's actually been a pretty exciting start to this second game in the series. And, you know, although it's actually, at this point, I think it's even harder to say who I think is favored than before. Obviously, we've got WeThePepegas leading. But to me, this game actually feels really even. The last game actually felt like more like the Baddest Dudes were winning most of the time, but just some of the late game decision-making, delivering the game ultimately in favor of WeThePepegas. So we are going to see Sapper Camps picked up by both teams, but the wave clear will be coming out first for WeThePepegas. However, it will be a sleep onto Battle Hill. Sleep ultimately not achieving much there. Obviously, Johanna just having Iron Skin, making it a little bit easier to get out once the root comes down and does wake her up. In our top lane, haven't paid much attention to our solo lane players because honestly the 4-man is just so exciting. And it's kind of a shame because, you know, when I did play, I actually played 1.5 seasons as a solo laner myself, and solo lane lives matter as well. But unfortunately for much of the game, it's also honestly just a lot less interesting as we see our solo laners just going around, clearing the waves. It's important work. Somebody's got to do it. But it's not the most cast-worthy things. This might be a kill onto Durlock. Unfortunately, the root is a little bit late, but it doesn't matter. Better late than never, and they do succeed in getting the kill onto Durlock. Demon Grand potentially a little bit of trouble. And Luchmite trying to chase in with the Dark Flight, actually using that since Dark Flight can actually be used against Tracer since it is a targeted ability. You will at the very least get the guaranteed damage off the Dark Flight itself. Although, you know, obviously if Tracer does have some blink charges, she can get away from some of the further auto attacks. So very frequently we are seeing the sleeps going on to Battle Hill. Practically speaking, though, Johanna, I mean, for very obvious reasons. The most obvious one just being the fact that she's a tank. She doesn't exactly make the most desirable kill target. But I think with the setup that Baddest Dudes have, it makes Johanna even less desirable of a target because the other CC setup is the root, and Johanna can very easily self-cleanse herself out of that. A little bit of a redundancy in phrases. Could have just said cleanse herself out of that. All right. Mysterious 5-man in the middle lane. Not quite sure why. All right, then. But Luchmite. Oh, they're going to set up for a potential bush party. Will they get it? There's going to be the sleep, but it's practically anticipated by Battle Hill. But I think Battle Hill, I don't know if he really wanted to cut himself off from the rest of his team. We're going to see Bloodlust activated. Okay, Battle Hill is going to try to get back in here. And the first kill actually does come out on Tracer. Ring of Frost does connect, but since the kill happened first on Tracer, for the most part, this is Baddest Dudes potentially in retreat. So we can see that WeThePepegas really like this Bloodlust style of play. And it's a style of play, especially we see that Afreya also does not go for the healing totem at level 4, instead going for the Stormcaller. So this does mean that, you know, for WeThePepegas, they're really not going for a sustained healing kind of playstyle. The Rhaegar is really meant to empower them offensively. But we're going to see some stun targets here. Silver Wasp goes down immediately. The roots will come out, but Luchmite is really low. Uses the go for the throat. Does put Tracer really, really low, but it's not quite enough to secure the kill. Now, Giant Dwarf. I'm actually not sure why Baddest Dudes are still in here. Giant Dwarf is so low. Doesn't want to risk getting stunned. And instead, he will get stunned once again by the Rexar. Okay, we are going to have our towers very much evened out at the moment. Greymane will go in, though, looking for a kill onto Night Raven. Chelsea seeing if he can finish, or she. I'm actually not sure if Chelsea is a boy or a girl, since that actually could be a boy or a girl's name. More often, I think it's a girl's name, though. So I'm tempted to think Chelsea is a girl. Okay, Sapper Camp will be pushing down in the bottom. And there will be definitely some damage onto the fort. Not enough to take it out just yet. And Durlock will be just retreating to continue to soak the lanes. A significant advantage now for WeThePepegas. And it's actually a much better game for WeThePepegas this time. They are obviously in the lead. Perhaps we shouldn't put too much into that, but I think it's just a bit of a contrast compared to last game, where they were actually pretty much not in the lead for much of the game. All right. Like I said, solo lane lives matter too. Both of these solo lane heroes going for a lot of that double soak action. Obviously, Leoric with the Neil Peasants. Does he have? Yes, he has Neil Peasants. Wanted to just verify that just to make sure before I say, yeah, Leoric, Neil Peasants, of course. Just double soak pressure, or just double soaking. And of course, the Bird of Prey out of Rexar to kind of do the same thing. Very similar talents, effectively. All right, then, Battle Hill going in. They're going in for the initiation onto Giant Dwarf. Giant Dwarf tries to find a sleep on Luciamite, but with the on the prowl. Never mind, let's not talk about in the prowl. Let's see what this Bloodlust initiation gets. Oh no, Ring of Frost does not hit a thing. But, you know, in the end, that is a whole bunch of ult cooldowns traded. Does look like Luciamite will pick up the bottom temple. Bottom altar, whatever, Towers of Doom, bottom tower. And I think that we're still in a position where Baddest dudes can just take the 5v fight and 5v5 fight and potentially make something of this. Okay, but while other players are separated off, we did have Chelsea caught in an entomb. Meanwhile, down on the bottom, Greymane does look like he's scared off Tracer, but now Greymane is in a huge amount of trouble himself. The Pulse Bomb misses, though. That's a huge problem. Luciamite eventually does go down in the end, though. So, this is now a 5v4. In most cases, this should just be a one fight. I'm not seeing a whole lot of reason for WeThePepegas to stick around unless they think they can secure a kill on Giant Dwarf. It doesn't look like that's the case, and now Giant Dwarf will just be able to zone Chelsea as well as Freya out on the... out so that they can take the altar. And I mean, man, you know, we do have a level lead for WeThePepegas, but otherwise I would say we've got a very even game here. Now it's a little bit more than a level lead. Although Durlock trying to help out the Baddest dudes by giving up another Misha kill. Okay, with those kills, we will see the invade on the Sapper Camp will be a successful invade. At this point, though, I would think Night Raven would want to try to split off, try to get more of that soaking, because as a team, they are behind. And since the kills are pretty even, I mean, that's got to have to go more. That has to have more to do with the soaking. In fact, we do see Durlock with about a 3,000 experience point advantage in soak. But here is the Bloodlust attempt for the invade. Mad Kaiser, there's no way he gets out of there alive. He was just stuck there forever. And we are going to see the Tracer taken out as well. Luciamite doing so much work. He can finish off Silver Wasp here, and indeed he does. All right, oh, they end up getting 4 kills out of that. This is really, really strong. I mean, I had just talked about how this was looking like such an even game, and honestly, if WeThePepegas play their current cards right, this is really the time when it should not be much of an even game anymore. 16 to 14 in levels, that means a 16 talent tier advantage. They get the bottom tower, and that's a lot of just what they need. It depends on how they kind of play this out. Does look like Durlock was seeing if they could create an even bigger advantage by getting... He did get a little bit of damage on this fort, but was not anywhere near able to secure the tower itself. Freya and Chelsea positioning in a way, ready to try to take this middle altar. I'm a little worried, though. They've only got 3 here. Okay, they will guarantee get the top 2 altars. I think it's important that they just don't die here. So I'm especially looking at Chelsea. Chelsea could be caught into an entomb, but his team is not quite on the same page. So this will not be an entomb that results in a kill onto Chelsea. Ultimately, that was that's like something like, we just got to say that members of WeThePepegas just kind of broke Baddest dude's ankles right there. They took both the top towers because no one from Baddest dudes was really... present around those top altars. And then the important thing is just that WeThePepegas didn't die in the middle. All right, let's see if they can get any kills here. They will get a kill on Mad Kaiser. Not able to catch the Tracer since she is able to blink out of there. I'm not personally feeling that the Tracer is being super impactful at the moment. Meanwhile, we are going to see a few talents picked up. So it does look like Leoric went for the... Leoric actually went for an auto attack build. I wouldn't really see this as a great game for an auto attack Leoric. I mean, his best target that he can most likely hit is the Johanna, who can also blind him. All right, meanwhile, for the moment, WeThePepegas do retain possession of the bottom tower, which, of course, is, at this point, just the most important thing that they can do. They even have a Sapper Wave coming in. They can even possibly see about getting another one. This is actually a time where I actually don't like Durlock going off to soak. There's 5. Oh, and 2 misses. However, it's still a 5v4. Luciamite goes in, but I don't know how much he can achieve there. Diving any further would mean going into the kill zone, and now he's down to about half of his hit points. I really think it's about time that Durlock actually joins the team.
The time is now, heroes. Claim the altars in my name.
All right, then Giant Dwarf. Oh, no, I don't know if he gets out of here alive. He tries to escape, but he finds Battle Hill there on Johanna. Meanwhile, I don't think Leoric gets out of here either. And it will be another 3-0. And at this point, you know, it was an even game for a while. It's not so much anymore. Things are looking pretty rough for Baddest Dudes at the moment. We still have the control over the bottom altar. And Greymane is going to start the boss by himself. This is crazy. Does he have Eager Wolf? He does not have Eager Wolf, and which I don't actually think is the best talent. But, I mean, if you're going to attempt to kill a boss by yourself, I would think that might be something that could be helpful. So it's going to be Battle Hill zoning things out by himself here, while the rest of WeThePepegas get even more damage on the core. They use 3 to actually kill that boss, and Chelsea will also get the middle tower. This is getting very, very close to a checkmate situation. So WeThePepegas looking a whole lot stronger in this second game. The aggressive draft is working out quite well for them. All right. I mean, they're actually going... yeah, I mean, Baddest Dudes can't just let them push here. They're going to need more people to come help out, but oh no, this is very, very close to a checkmate situation. They need to somehow... I mean, they basically just need to... Oh no, this is super bad. Because if they take a fight, one of the members of WeThePepegas can try to just sneak off and sneak an altar. So I don't... Okay, it looks like it will just be a straight-up team fight. Every member of No! Afreya's getting the tower. Nobody's here to interrupt, so that will be the end of the game. And although we do see a nice Ring of Frost hitting like 4, that won't be enough, and that will be the end of the game. 2-0 for WeThePepegas, so they will continue to go up in the standings. Baddest Dudes, meanwhile, aside from the fact that they did lose the game, they do unfortunately also break their streak of taking every series to the 3rd map. So, obviously, you can see our statistics here. Oh, wow. The damage in particular, massively in favor of WeThePepegas, with the highest damage out of them being, with the highest damage out of Baddest Dudes only being 33,000 from the Tracer, where we have 3, even Battle Hill on Johanna, out-damaging every single member of the Baddest Dudes. So, rough time in the end for the Baddest Dudes, but congratulations to WeThePepegas, as I even want to take a little bit of a look at talents to see if there's anything particularly interesting here that I might have missed. There was something that I wanted to look up, but I forget what it was. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Let me turn on this your cast.
All right, how you guys feeling, you know, just after this recent victory?
Oh, good. The first game was tough. They caught us off guard.
Yeah. I mean, how did you guys feel as a team about dealing, like, I want to know, like, what were you thinking first when you saw the Kel'Thuzad in the draft, and then what was it like for you guys to actually play it out against the Kel'Thuzad?
we said, "Damn, that's gonna be a problem." uh, we tell each other not to clump up for him, but he's a puller. He can pull you into that, his spells. So it's not that easy with Kel'Thuzad. We know if you get in his face, you can kind of kill him, but if you kind of just posturing, he's gonna pick people off.
Right,
So
right.
we weren't happy about it, and he did well. He definitely caught us.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously had a massive kill advantage in game one, but you guys were able to. I mean, I would say you guys kind of stole that game. That game was what I like to call a slobber knocker.
It was. We had good soak and clear, so I think we kept up the first half.
Yeah, certainly. You definitely had the far better wave clear in the 4-man for that first draft.
Part of our strategy on that map is get extra clear, get more cash-ins. They did push in top well. They got the boss, so that worried us a little. But I think that fight at the end just kind of turned it.
And then for game 2, you guys really turned it up. Although it looked even for a while, at some point you guys just kind of ran away with it. How do you think that happened?
Well, we do have kind of a strategy on that map. It's not a secret. A lot of people like to control bottom lane.
Of course.
So when you get control of the bottom lane, I think that's when we tend to separate on that map. It's always even till about the mid game. Then if we convert that bottom, usually we can separate. We started getting the camps down there more, getting more kills. I think we got more kills in general that game. It was like 13, I think. So I think once we got control of that bottom,
and
hold the game much better.
I'd also like to know if you could, obviously without giving up too many secrets, just in case people are trying to scout out the competition, but sure. I would like to know a little bit about what was some of the thought process for your guys' draft for the second game, because I thought it was a very interesting draft. It was not what I would call a balanced draft. It was very clearly like a very aggressive draft. And was before I try to explain my own thoughts, which is almost happening, can you just tell us a little bit more about your drafting style for that second game?
I guess the two things I think we pushed, we do take Rhaegar and often the Bloodlust. So we do kind of want an auto attack type of aggressive team. Once you pop that Bloodlust, we want to go all in, overwhelm. And I think the second thing is that Chelsea's very good on Thrall. They took a Trace City. We don't want somebody too squishy that's going to have to run away. So that's kind of what we did. We had enough clear. We didn't have a mage or burst, but that's another level where we're just looking to push the lane. So it's really that. We took Bloodlust, so we wanted more auto. Want an aggressive team, and Chelsea's very good on Thrall, so we know he'll bring some damage. Even though he's a bruiser, he's going to put up assassin damage.
Yeah, I really like the Thrall pick, because even though it makes you don't have a technical mage, so it's not as much of a balanced composition, but it kind of just goes all in and what you're trying to build in with the Greymane and the Rhaegar. So I really like that. It was fun to watch, and I liked it just when I saw it as well. We've got a few questions here in the chat, although I will warn you, the questions in the chat are a little bit more memey.
Okay.
First of all, and these come from Valkymer, if you know him. First of all, this one will be quick, but waffles or pancakes?
I always thought waffles were kind of dry and bready, doughy. I kind of like pancakes a little better.
All right.
Now that I'm older, if I eat pancakes in the morning, I'm kind of done for the whole afternoon. All that syrup, you crash. But I'd say pancakes.
Very, very nice. I like the way you took what was basically a yes or no question. You were able to expand on it very nicely.
My reasoning.
This kind of goes into the same avenue, but describe your perfect sandwich.
Ooh. It would definitely be hearty. I don't know if it would be like a chicken parm. Throw some bacon on there too, just for the hell of it. So a lot of meats, a lot of cheeses.
Ooh.
Maybe a spicy little kick sauce.
Yeah, I approve of that too. That sounds like a man after my own heart. I like chicken parm too.
Not too thin, not too bready. You need the mid part has to be thick. A little sloppy for my taste. I love an au jus.
Good. And for some people, I feel like I would have to apologize for these questions. Not my normal style, but just starting to get these questions in from the chat.
Aren't that tough.
But they're fun too. They're fun too. We actually this is actually a more serious question out of slightly more serious question. Oh no, actually, let's just go straight to this. This will be the last chat question, and we'll continue on with the Mimi ones. Which one of the heroes in Heroes of the Storm would you take out to lunch? Oh, you have to think real hard about that one.
Boy.
Ooh.
But I got a feeling she would take me out to lunch.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's something
like dominant one in that relationship. I like Alexstrasza too. I got a little thing for him.
All right.
That's about it.
Doesn't have to be romantic, for me. I'd like to take ETC out to lunch. It's not like it's not a romantic thing. I just think it'd be a good time.
I'd have a drink with certain other heroes like ETC or Junkrat or something like that. Oh, Muradin, definitely. I'd say Muradin for a drink and maybe out to lunch. Alexstrasza.
All right. So I'm gonna that'll be it for the chat questions. I'm going to move on to a few more serious questions, then we'll probably get close to wrapping it up. But obviously, you guys are doing pretty well right now. I believe you have 4 wins and 1 loss. And I do know your 1 loss is to One More Fight, a team that I've even played against myself. Who are you looking forward to playing as the season goes on?
It's generally who's ever in first place, because if you want to win the league, you got to play the best teams. So whoever's in front of us is really the the next week's opponent. But
All right.
it's really the best team. We have to go through them.
Fair enough.
One More Fight, they always give us a tough game.
Yeah, yeah, I'm good you threw that in there because I was wondering, like, although you already played them, there's a chance, like, if it comes down to playoffs, you might play them again.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that could be.
Even if we do everything right, I've noticed One More Fight, they're always right with us. Damn, I thought we were doing everything right. They're equal with us. What's going on?
Oh, but then they had
little things. Yeah.
But then they had One More Fight.
Yes, they do. They always have One More Fight.
All right. So just the last thing before we do wrap this up for the night, I just want to know, I'm going to basically throw the floor to you for any last comments as well as any shout outs you would like to make.
Give credit to our team, to the other team. They played us hard, especially that first game. Yeah, outkilled us totally. Thank you for casting. It's always fun to go back and watch these. I absolutely do. I think we all have fun with that. Shout out to my whole team, even the ones that aren't here. And maybe Paradox and Slexix, they kind of give us some tips, and we've definitely gotten better since then.
All right.
So the whole family. #family.
Very good. It's also just kind of a nice thing, after I started recently casting Heroes Lounge, but then you get to NGS where we're literally at the moment where like 90% of NGS matches are cast. So that is just a nice thing to have.
It's fun. See ourselves play, both positive and negatives, absolutely, warts and all.
All right. Well, thank you. That is everything I have for tonight. Congratulations on your victory.
Thank you.
And
on
good night.
behalf of the Pepegas, thank you very much. Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
All right, good night then.